Welcome back to my build series on my Interceptor Scrambler called Dylan Builds an Interceptor Scrambler. Anyway, today we're talking about tires. This is like the big thing that makes the look of the Scrambler. It really makes a huge impact. And to be honest with you, I actually filmed this video riding the bike talking about the tires, but the sound got messed up, and then I thought actually it makes more sense to just kind of sit here because you can't see the tires while I'm riding the bike. So here are the tires. This is the rear, of course. It's a 130/80/18. These are Shinko 700s. Front and rear, they're the same tire. The front is a slightly different size. You can see how knobby it is from this angle. And you can see I've worn it down a little bit. I've actually put a lot of miles on this bike. I think I'm at like 1,200. And last we talked, I was probably 400. I put 800 miles on it. That's pretty serious. 2 big long trips on this bike, on these tires in this form since I put these on, and I love it. When I first put these tires on, I was thinking they're so big and they just barely fit. This is about the biggest tires you could put on here without considering other spacing issues. There's a very small amount of space between this tire and the swing arm. They're about as wide as you possibly can make it before it would start to rub things. The front, I'll show you, but it has some spacers, some risers on the fender. There's no way it would fit with a stock fender. It's just, these are big and very aggressive for this style of bike. Obviously there are more aggressive tires out there, but when I first put them on, I was a little scared thinking, oh no, what have I done? These are just gonna be bouncy and gnarly, but really they're not. And I did some research ahead of time, and you can kind of tell the overall profile is still very rounded on these. They don't feel like the stock tires. You can definitely notice it. They don't feel like dirt bike tires. They're a really good middle of the road compromise. All right, so this is the stock tire. These are Pirelli Sports Comps. Same basic size. So 130/80/18, 130/70/18. So what that means is this height is 80% of 130. This height is 70% of 130. So you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see that. This tire is 10% taller. Other than that, they're the same size, and you can see them next to each other. I guess they are about the same width. Obviously this one has more of a overall presence. Let's go to the front and I'll show you the difference there. All right, this is the front tire. This one is a 4.6. This is a different measurement. So 4.6 inches by 18. And the stock is 190/18. This one is the much bigger difference between the two. Hopefully you can see it. Essentially, this one is both wider and then a significant amount taller. And you can kind of see, I guess I've got you at a good angle there, but you can see there's just barely maybe a 1/4 inch of space here on this fender, and this has about these 1/2 inch spacers, so the stock one really would not have fit, and it's really close to rubbing, but it doesn't. But there's no way this would have fit otherwise. This tire is just a lot taller than the stock one was, and you could feel it when you're going down the road, and you could tell from this angle that the overall shape is still, I mean, they're the same tread pattern. The overall shape is very rounded. If you're in the parking lot, you feel kind of blub, blub, blub. You feel the little knob. Once you get over 15 miles an hour or something, you barely even notice it. But in a turn, it does feel taller. It feels like there's almost this shelf rather than a smooth, rounded over when you turn. It was weird at first, but now I don't even notice it. I've done a lot of highway miles on these tires as they are. They're a little bit louder, but other than that, you barely even notice. If you just primarily ride these on the pavement, I think they'll wear out. I think they'll get squared off, especially the rear, sooner than the stock tires or more street tires would. Our shop is here in Columbus. I rode from Columbus to Cincinnati. That is 2.5 hours, all on the highway, no problem at all. It rode like a totally normal motorcycle. I totally forgot about the tires, and they did perfect. I did another thing where we went to this Devil's Staircase hill climb thing, basically an all-day ride, and these tires were perfect. I'm happy with them. I would recommend them to someone else. Like I said, if you were gonna do it, you'd need to just raise up this fender 1/2 inch. This is a metal fender as well. This isn't the stock fender. And then in the rear, it fits, but just barely, but you don't need any modifications. Check out my other videos if you haven't before, but I put on this exhaust, I put on an air intake, I have the booster plug. The next things that I'm gonna do, leather bags. We work with this company called Trip Machine. They're Indian. They primarily design stuff for the Interceptor and Royal Enfield bikes. And they have these awesome bags that I'm gonna put on. I have some other side bags and some other little tank knee pads and stuff like that that I wanna put on, but aesthetic stuff. This was the first major step, getting the overall look going. And I'm excited about it. I actually, this is funny, but I took this bike and a vintage bike, a vintage Royal Enfield, to a bike show, and this one won a prize. So that's kind of funny. I didn't expect that at all. You know, I guess that shows you how much of an impact these big knobby tires do. And a guy came in and bought Royal Enfield saying, I want the exact same thing. So he wanted this tank, these tires, this exhaust, everything. If you wanted to do that too, I've got that now. I've got that all priced out. But if you're really interested in doing this to your bike or buying an Interceptor exactly this way, we could figure that out for you. We also, these exhausts, they'll come in to stock, they'll go out of stock. They're currently in stock. I just sold one yesterday. So if you're interested in those, we could get that for you. That's called the S&S Qualifier 2-in-1 race only version, which is what that is $849. Anyway, this has just been an update on the tires. As things progress, I'll keep putting out videos showing all the overall. And this is a project that I don't expect to ever be done, but thanks for following along, and let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.